Shalom, family. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you. From YAHUAH, our Father, and Yahushua. He is the Messiah, the one that carries the burden of Yah, his voice. Our high priest, he's our soon-coming king. Hear, O Yeshurun, YAHUAH, who is our mighty one, he is one. There is no other mighty one but YAHUAH, and Yahushua is his voice. This is Brother David coming to you again to ask the question, how do I keep YAH'S Shabbats? This is part 5. Forbidden practices. I would say that there's 2 commandments that the Father puts above all the rest. Yes, I would say that. What is the first one? His name. If you call upon any other mighty ones, that is called the unpardonable sin. You have no chance of making it into the kingdom. The second, his Shabbats. They are a sign between him and you. It makes you and him one. So listen and live, brothers and sisters. Remember, repent. Remember the Shabbat day and keep it set apart. Let's begin. Ne-Hem-Yah, or Ne-Hem-Yah Nehemiah, in your book, chapter 10, verses 28 to 29. Verse 28. And the rest of the people, the priests, the Levites, the porters, the singers, the Nethinims, and all they that had separated themselves from the people of the lands unto the law of the Mighty One. What's going on here? They had just returned from Babylon. They were in the process of rebuilding the temple, rebuilding the gates, and getting the city established again. Look who else was a part of this. Their wives, their sons, and their daughters. Everyone having knowledge and having understanding. That is what's lacking today. Our people are destroyed because they have no knowledge and they have no understanding of the knowledge that they're hearing over the airwaves. Verse 29, they, who is they? All of those who were in verse 28, they clave to their brethren, their nobles, and entered into a curse. A curse? What do they mean by they entered into a curse? Who translated this? Your enemies. Yah's enemies. The Europeans. Do you know what they're saying here? That the law is a curse. What did Shaul, the one that we used to call Paul, what did he say about the law? He said the law is just. It is good. It is holy. Yahushua said, till heaven and earth pass away, not one dot or tittle will pass from this law, to all be fulfilled. So why did they say that it's a curse, the law? It's the government of YAHUAH. They are against his government. What is the prayer that Yahushua told you to pray when you're here on this earth? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. He has put his kingdom and its laws in this book. But we ignore it. The Europeans have filled our heads with words like this, that the law is a curse. Do you know what they did? They went directly to the penalty phase. They bypassed all the blessings if you keep it, and went to the penalty if you transgress it. Hold it 1 second. Are we not under European law today? Do they not have a penalty phase if you transgress their law? Why do they not call their law a curse? Look at the word that is used. Allah. H422 and H423. They translated Allah in verse 29 to be a curse when there was other words there that could be used. Their purpose here was to make the law look like it was something that is evil. Vengeance is coming. Every word that proceeds from the mouth of he who is seated upon the throne is divine law, and anyone who calls it a curse, or anyone who says that it is abolished, will be destroyed. Now let me read this passage again using another word that's there. I want you to look it up. That's why I gave you these numbers. They clave to their brethren, their nobles, and swore an oath to walk in the mighty one's law. How does that sound? Because that's what they did. They swore an oath. When they came back to the land, they did it again, just like we will do it again when we are in the wilderness, which was given by Moshe, the servant of the Mighty One, and to observe and do all the commandments of YAHUAH, our Mighty One, and his judgments, and his statutes. That's why we were evicted from the kingdom in the first place. We didn't carry out judgment against the transgressors of the law, nor did we follow his statutes. Verse 30, and that we would not give our daughters unto the people of the land. That is forbidden, brothers and sisters. There's no mixing. Even here in the lands of our captivity, no mixing with the others. And not to take their daughters for our sons. No mixing. Stick with those who look like you. Check their fathers to see if they are us. Verse 31. And if the people of the land bring ware, goods, or any victuals on the Shabbat day to sell, victuals are food and provisions, that we would not buy it of them on the Shabbat. So buying and selling on the Shabbat day, is that a forbidden practice? Or on a holy day? It's talking about the feast days. And that we would leave the seventh year and the exaction of every debt. Ne-Hem-Yah is bringing the people back to the Lord, to the old way, which is the good way, that we may find rest for our souls. What is the main passage or the main law that Nehemiah is trying to convey to us? The Shabbat day, that you should keep it and set it apart. Now let's see what happened. Ne-Hem-Yah, chapter 13, verses 15 to 16. So we're moving forward 3 chapters. Verse 15. In those days saw I in YAHUAH some treading wine presses on the Shabbat. Is that forbidden? Isn't that work? And bringing in sheaves and lading asses. You know, they were putting the burden on the top of the ass, the donkey, on the Shabbat day. Isn't that forbidden? Isn't that work? As also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Yerushalayim on the Shabbat day. Hey, didn't we learn in the last part that we were supposed to make sure that our animals even rest? So the ass gets no rest here. Let's continue. And I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals, goods, food, provisions. What day was that? The Shabbat day. Verse 16. Here's the outside influence. There dwelt in the land men of Tyre, also therein. They brought fresh fish and all kinds of goods, and sold on the Shabbat unto the children of YAHUAH in Yerushalayim. Outside influences will take you away every time, won't they? What were they going to do with these fish when they brought them? I mean, they didn't have refrigerators, did they? So if they bought fish on the Shabbat day, they were going to cook this fish on the Shabbat day, brothers and sisters. Verse 17. Then I contended with the nobles of YAHUAH. Why did he go to the nobles? Why didn't he just go to the people? Well, the nobles were set over large groups and large areas of land to rule over, to make sure that the people were keeping the law, to carry out judgment, and to follow the law, statutes of YAHUAH. So he went to the source of this problem. You see, these same nobles here, they were profiting from these men selling goods and all types of provisions in the land. Look what Ne-Hem-Yah Nehemiah said. What evil thing is this that you're doing, and that you profane the Shabbat day? So we know what this word profane means. Buying, selling. Putting burdens upon your animals. Yeah. Doing work on the Shabbat day. If you fit any of those three things, you have profaned the sacred day that the Father set apart for you. Verse 18. And you're not the only ones who did it. Look what it says here. Did not your fathers do the same thing? And did not our YAHUAH, our mighty one, bring all this evil upon us? What evil? He brought the Babylonians and the Edomites came in against them and sacked the temple and took the children of Yahudah captive into Babylon. And upon this city, they destroyed the city. Yet, after all of this, you still persist in bringing more wrath upon Yasharal by profaning the Shabbat? Yes. Verse 19. And it came to pass that when the gates of Yerushalayim began to be dark before the Shabbat. Can we stop for a moment? There's no such thing as a sunrise Sabbath. If you've heard of anything like that, or if you believed in it, you need to go to the scriptures and stop following false prophets, false teachers. Yeah. The Shabbat begins in the evening. From evening to evening. Why does the Shabbat begin in the evening? When do you spot Hadash? Hadash is when the moon becomes visible. Hadash is when you say, I see it. When do you spot that? As the sun dips below the horizon in the western sky on the first day of the month, there she is. It shows up in the evening, and your day begins in the evening from the lunar event, from one evening to the next evening. Look what he did. He is a man who took charge. I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened until after the Shabbat, the next evening. And some of my servants I set at the gates, that there should no burden be brought in on the Shabbat day. You can't bring a load in the city or in your house on the Shabbat day. Verse 20. So the merchants and sellers of all kinds of goods lodged without Yerushalayim once or twice. Only once or twice? Why? Verse 21. Then I testified against them. I love Nehemiah. And said unto them, why are you outside of my walls? If you do this again, I will put hands on you. Whew. He's defending the city. He's defending the people. He's defending the law of YAHUAH. Look what happened. From that time forth, they came no more to the city or lodged outside of the walls on the Shabbat day. Verse 22. You see, sometimes you have to go to drastic measures so people can see that you are serious. Verse 22. And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves. They must have been filthy. They had to come back to the law also and take up their positions as defenders of the faith, and that they should come and keep the gates to make sure that that day, that set apart day, to sanctify the Shabbat day. Listen to the prayer of Ne-Hem-Yah Nehemiah. Remember me, O Mighty One, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of your mercy. What is he saying? O Great One, even if these stiff-necked Negroes won't follow the law, remember I stood up for you, for your name, for your laws, statutes, judgments, commandments, and mainly the Shabbat day. Ya-Ram-Yahu Jeremiah, in your book, chapter 17, verses 21 to 23. Verse 21. Thus saith YAHUAH. We've identified the speaker. It is he who is seated upon the throne. Take heed to yourselves, pay attention, and bear no burden on the Shabbat day. Is that clear? You can carry no burden out of your house, nor carry a burden in your house, nor bring it in by the gates of Yerushalayim. You're not to bring a burden in the gates of the city. Is this clear? Verse 22. Neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Shabbat day. Can't carry any burdens out of your house. You remember we used to go to fellowships when we followed the Sunday Sabbath and the Saturday Sabbath, and we carried food in our cars? Neither do you any work, carrying a burden out of your house, whether it be putting the garbage out, bringing the garbage in, taking food in trays, loading it in your car on the Shabbat day, is work. But hallow you, speaking to the individual, the Shabbat day, as I commanded your fathers. Verse 23, here's our resume. But we obeyed not. Our fathers didn't obey, neither did we. But we're going to break this mold. We're going to be all that we can be for YAHUAH and keep his commandments. Neither did they incline their ears Everyone who is listening to my voice knows this part. How many times have you spoken to your family and friends, and they turned their ear away from you? They had things to do. They had other calls. They had places to be. They didn't want to hear, but made their neck stiff. You ever seen a person with a stiff neck? They have to turn their whole body to look at you. They made their neck stiff that they might not hear, nor receive instruction. Our people don't like instruction, especially the ones who think that they know something. Anytime you hear someone think they know, they really know nothing. I've learned that over these years. All of the people who have challenged me over the Shabbats and the feast days, I found that they had no knowledge and no understanding because they refused to receive instruction. Instead, they followed the ways of the Gentiles. Follow the ways that's in this book, brothers and sisters. The Father is clear about how you are to perform on his Shabbat days. And if you think that all of these rules and regulations are hard for you to carry out when it comes to the Shabbat, they are not. The Shabbat day is simply this: rest. If you do that, you do well. Make sure your food is cooked in advance and stay in your home. Continue to part 6. Shalom.